Yet another classic game from the mid-80s that found its way onto pretty much everything was First Star Software's Boulder Dash. While the Game Boy version was not directly programmed by those guys, in fact the original creator Peter Liepa was not mentioned anywhere in game or manual, a pretty bum move, but hey. It's a pretty accurate and thoroughly enjoyable version of a great puzzle game. The idea is that you're this excavator guy called Rockford who's on the hunt for massive shiny human-sized diamonds. You have to dig out caves and underneath boulders and other obstacles in order to get to these prizes. Each level has a predetermined amount to collect, after which you need to make it to the safe zone before the timer runs out. There are enemies in some levels, but the biggest danger to you are these boulders that you yourself cause to fall. The guy is not a smart treasure hunter by any means, as he's clearly never heard of a tunnel brace. Quite often lots of boulders can cascade down just by removing a small area of dirt, so you need to be careful and look around before making moves. Later on there are some pretty tricky levels where you need to carve your way through to a cavern containing diamonds, but in doing so you release an enemy that chases you. It's necessary here to block their path with a boulder or diamond by undercutting it and letting it fall behind you. Sometimes you may also notice that there are no diamonds immediately visible. What you usually have to do here is manipulate the boulders to drop onto some enemy somewhere. These will then die, leaving behind gems for you to collect. There are plenty of ways to do this, and you never need to collect all the gems of a level, so you can beat this game really any way you want to. There are 4 different worlds to choose from, each of which have different themes, enemies, and dangers. Some of the graphical choices are weird. Sometimes instead of boulders you have these primitive looking huts that were built on top of diamonds, and when you undercut them they all plummet to the ground. Sometimes it's these jellyfish and amoebas that fall on you. The graphics themselves are actually really good, although because they're quite large you have the obvious disadvantage of not being able to see very far. This was dealt with excellently though, as by pressing select you can zoom out, which allows you to see more of the level, allowing you to plan out where you're heading. This is very necessary once all the jewels have been collected, as that escape tile can be anywhere and it's pretty easy to get yourself stuck in this game. In fact, the zoomed out view isn't just a map, you can actually play the game like that, which I found myself doing more often than not, as some of these stages are pretty big. This is the sort of thing that really works on the Game Boy, and any problems with the prohibitive screen size were well anticipated and sorted out. Boulder Dash is always a fun game, and the Game Boy version is a great representation of it. Very enjoyable indeed.